Tell me about the Defender and how this can play a role as we try to change the narrative of what's going on right now with this gun violence and other criminal activity in the city, especially starting in Kensington.
Okay. Well, first of all, the Defender is it's a custom-made war machine. It's like a doomsday prepper vehicle, but it's bulletproof. It has multi-functions to do a bunch of different things. But when you see it, it has a tank. It's built like a tank. It has a 50 cal rifle on the top, if you will, and it's well equipped for war. And we are at war. We're warring against this gun violence, and we standing up and looking like war, but we don't mean a physical war. This is a mental war.
Welcome to another edition of Key Community Leaders on the Progressive Access Zone podcast, sponsored by the Hispanic Community Counseling Service. I'm your guest host, Atlas X, and today I have Mo, who is the CEO for Operation Save a Life. Mo, it's great having you here today. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm feeling good. Thanks for asking.
Well, Mo, you know, we've been working together a lot recently, and, you know, as we look to what we can do in the Kensington area and in other hot spots that are around the city right now of Philadelphia, you know, you have this organization called Operation Save a Life. Why don't you tell us about the origins of Operation Save a Life?
Well, Operation Save a Life was created to do numerous things in the community. One, we decided to form the organization to help the police in our area and the EMTs, the paramedics, because there were so many overdoses occurring in our area. So we decided to train and teach people how to administer Narcan for one, and second was to deploy a field of our representatives into the streets and train them and teach them how to administer Narcan to save lives.
Wow. So initially, though, Mo, you know, I know you jumped right to the Narcan, okay? But it all started initially when you started a needle drive, right? And is this pre-COVID when you eventually started picking up the needles in the city of Kensington?
Well, absolutely. The needle program started by us seeing so many needles that was just thrown all over the streets of Kensington, and we felt that we need to protect our kids. Some type of safety procedure that we felt like we needed to step in and do something about by picking up these needles that these users are throwing all over our streets.
And so how long did you do that? And did this something, were you hiring people, volunteers? I mean, as far as, because obviously when people think about picking up needles and going around, there's a lot of junkies and people laying out there. How did you go about this as far as, you know, picking up the needles? And do you think you picked up a couple thousand? You know, how did this come about? Well, I know how it came about, but how did you organize this effort? And was it just for this part of Kensington?
Well, what we initially did was we started by setting up a table and filling out a form and see if people would come and volunteer and help us. We had grabbers that we went to Walmart and purchased that will prevent us from being exposed to the contact of the needle, with just stabbing somebody and grabbing it to pick the needles up and put them into a trash can. And by us signing up volunteers, we became larger in seconds. It happened fast.
Wow. So Mo, initially it was the needle pickup. You talked about the Narcan, but let's get a little bit more deeper into this. You know, about a couple weeks ago, you were showing me some photos, all right? This wasn't just handing out a few cans of Narcan. I mean, you had multiple volunteers. You had people on bicycles riding around in groups. That's number two.
Absolutely.
Right? And they were trained on how to administer the Narcan. You also had some mini golf carts out there, and I want you to talk about that. You also had a van out there serving a purpose. And so tell us about this bike patrol with the Narcan and what type of, if you had any training, and what exactly, how long did you do this, and what area of Kensington were you covering with this volunteer bike patrol?
Well, we actually we focused on the hot spots where the most ODs were occurring. So that became our primary focus, that we can go out to the location where we've seen it occurring the most. And the volunteers played a major part by taking the training, which we did take our own training, and we started training after we took our own training to see if people were willing to go out and help.
Now, and when you say we, your brother also, right? And your brother Rich also played a significant role in with regards to this Narcan, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I had other family members, such as my daughter, involved, and some friends, and it just kept growing.
Now, did you have to pay for these cans of Narcan, or did you or were you able to obtain these from the city for free? Did you have city support, or is this something just out of your pocket? How did you go about funding this operation? I know some of it was volunteer, but still, there had to be some things as far as purchasing the bicycles and, you know, the go-karts, or not, you know, the little golf carts, excuse me. How did you get some of this stuff, Mo?
Well, before the opioid crisis and the pandemic stepped in, I was inspired by this little blue bag that I seen all the users carrying. And nobody knew what it was. Nobody, not even the users could tell me, but they had it. And an organization was giving them out to the users. And the users were selling them. So I decided to buy them. I was known as the Narcan man. I started buying all these blue packages off the users, and they was bringing them to me every day until I had thousands.
Wow. Now, Mo, this is a really sensitive topic, or what I'm about to ask you, because on one hand, you have hundreds of people on the streets of Kensington who are not even from Kensington, most of them, okay, who are ODing, and because, once again, Kensington became known as the Walmart of heroin, opioids, and all these things going on, besides just other criminal activity taking place. So on one hand, you have people who are feeling sympathetic for some of these people coming into the Kensington area, whether bringing food, clothing, and on one hand, you would say, hey, that's great, you know, because you don't want someone who's homeless out on the street cold, maybe hungry, right? But for the residents of Kensington, this is really an issue, all right? You know, on one hand, even though you don't want to see someone cold and hungry, but Mo, tell me, from the residents of Kensington, why is this such a sensitive topic as far as, you know, this, if you want to call it pushback, that the residents of Kensington have when it comes to people feeding or clothing some of these homeless people / drug addicts?
Well, for one, I admire people for wanting to help. It's a beautiful thing to not want to see people hungry and not want to see people well taken care of with the clothes and blankets if it was cold. But there's a catch to it. The catch is many people are calling themselves doing something positive, and which they are, but it's damaging the community because 90% of the people that's there in their addiction is not from there. So once you feed them, there has no bathroom. There's no restrooms there available for people to go to. So now you got people urinating and defecating all over our streets. And it became big on hepatitis in Kensington. I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but hepatitis became big because of the urine and the feces that these users are leaving all over the streets because there's no restrooms. They don't live there. So they don't have a house to go into, but that is the outcome of you people feeding these users.
Right, so it's really a thin line here between not wanting someone to be hungry or cold, but at the same time, we can't have a health hazard, okay, on the streets, and then people feeling more comfortable, like, why leave, right? But the residents are almost feeling like they're trapped, in this zone, right? So now we have a new mayor, okay, Sherelle Parker. She's in, just less than 100 days in office as we speak right now, Mo. Mo, you've been a longtime resident of Kensington, and they even have a special mayor or someone appointed just to the city part of Kensington, okay? I believe it's a deputy mayor. I could be wrong, but I believe like a deputy mayor or commissioner, for the city of Kensington itself. Mo, in your opinion, what is it going to take to turn around this situation with the dealers and these homeless people / addicts in the city to try to restore Kensington from a business district standpoint, to revitalize the business district, okay, and for residents to feel more comfortable? In your opinion, what is it really going to take?
Well, change. It's going to take change, a major change, but it will be difficult because the people are so used to it that they don't think that change is possible. They don't see no results of everything that's going on. So we do have a new mayor. So we do have a new commissioner or whoever it is that's in charge of the Kensington area. But a lot of times, talk is cheap. You can say what you want, but you have to do what you say. And a lot of people don't do what they say. They just say it.
All right. So, Mo, all right, with that being said, we know that on one hand, if you're homeless, you're just there because you're the user. Now, you do have, obviously, the drug dealer, okay, right? And for him or her, okay, this is their way of a living, okay? So some dealers may be in a position where they want to get off the street, right, and just don't know how to get off of the street. And you have others who may say, you know what? I like this lifestyle. If I had to choose between making $1,000 a month working at Pico versus or $1,000 a week, whatever it may be, right, at Pico versus $1,000 on the street, and I can have the lifestyle, the car, the clothes that I want, I'd rather have that, right? So, Mo, in your opinion, what is it going to take to maybe convince some of these brothers and sisters who are out here and, to say, it's time for me to maybe get off the street, what type of opportunity will it take, or what do you see as being the incentive, something could it incentivize them to want to leave?
Well, you just said it. Number one is we have to create another form of opportunities to create some type of financial establishment for our youth. We have to find another way to put funds available that people can have something else to go to other than the corners for resources and for money.
Wow. So, and when you think about that, of course, you think about employment opportunities, but entrepreneurial. I know you and I have talked about this, okay? And of course, you're involved with me in some other things. I have something, called the My Life Blueprint, which has 3 categories coming under the Blueprint Execution Plan, which has mentorship, job placement, and entrepreneurial activities, right? So in today's if you want to call it youth or generation, I think we're in Generation Z now, I believe, all right? We have Generation X and Generation Z, but we're going to talk about those people who are between ages, let's say 15 to 25. I think we do have more people who are more entrepreneurial minded. Matter of fact, right now, here we are on a podcast. And, as we talked to our producer, Josh, Josh and I were just having a conversation the other day about monetizing these type of things, such as on YouTube, right? So you do have more people who want to go into business for themselves, but maybe they don't know how to, what are the steps with a bank account, LLC, S Corp, or what do I want to do? Or still you have to get some type of training, in order to run a business, right? So these are some of the things, Mo, that are needed to do this. Now, Mo, you're a successful businessman. Besides Operation Save a Life, you do have Philly Streets Talk, okay? So we're going to get to that in a minute, all right? We definitely just want to put that out there, okay, what Philly Streets Talk is about. But right now, Mo, you're also part of the Live and Love Gun Violence Prevention Tour, right? And we've been going around to different high schools right now talking to individuals, school students about life in general. And Mo, we have a new project that we're working on called Project Meet the Needs, All right. So tell us about what Project Meet the Needs is, because this is the third thing from Operation Save a Life. You started off with the needles, then you went to Narcan, and then now you're partnering with us to do Project Meet the Needs. Tell me about that.
Well, Project Meet the Needs is based on using your own vision and your own observation to be able to find and look for neglect, to spot neglect in homes and these children. We're focused on the children because I was one of these children that was neglected, but that motivated me into feeling and understanding what to look out for. So neglectism comes in many forms, and Project Meet the Needs is a major force that can help these kids feel like they're loved and help teachers and parents understand that a child can be neglected or is neglected for that form in different fashions.
Now, in the past, you've told me that you, and maybe you and your brother, you have actually already maybe gone up to schools and somehow got in contact with certain students' parents because you noticed something and you've provided some beds in the past, I believe, right?
Absolutely.
So, Mo, let's get a little bit more specific about Project Meet the Needs as far as how it's going to work. Meaning, right now, once again, we have the Live and Love Gun Violence Prevention Tour, and what we've come up with now is a needs assessment form for this. And on this particular form, there are 7 items that an individual can pick from. One of them is like clothing, like a coat, pants, shirt, whatever it may be, shoes, hygiene pack, diapers, as an example. So of these 7 things,
and a bed, I'm sorry.
And a bed, yes, and a bed, right. So here's our items. So you as an individual, a parent, can choose 3 of the 7 on this needs assessment form. And then once that's submitted to us, then we'll get in contact with you, right? And then that's something can be delivered to the actual parent. In theory, that's pretty much how this would work. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely, that's about correct.
Right. So where do you plan to start with this? You know, right now, what would be the first thing as far as you get ready to launch Project Meet the Needs? What is your first area that you're going to address?
My first area is to operate in the area that we're working on currently is the Kensington area and expand to multiple different areas throughout the city by by bringing into the community some packages. And these are not just any packages, these are hygiene packages to show that somebody that you care. That simple.
Right. So here we are right now, and that's how we're going to start this is with the hygiene packs, whether we set up a tent and just do it, right on a pop-up location, or if we're at a high school, this is how we're going to introduce Project Meet the Needs to the community.
Actually, we're gonna pop up at many outdoor events, recreation centers and parks throughout the spring and the summer, and try to help some of these kids with these hygiene packs because these personals are expensive as well.
Now, Mo, with that being said, let's talk about what's going on in the city of Philadelphia. Gun violence is out of control. Yeah, it may be down a little bit, but still we have this wave of gun violence. We've got carjackings and just other basic crime that's taking place. A lot of this is taking place with the individuals between age 13 through, say, 30, 35, all right? And we know that social media plays a key role in this, right? And you've already heard me talking about we have to be able to deprogram individuals in order to change their mindset, all right? With that being said, Mo, how do you feel, that we can tackle this? And you have something called the Defender, all right? Tell me about the Defender and how this can play a role as we try to change the narrative of what's going on right now with this gun violence and other criminal activity in the city, especially starting in Kensington.
Okay. Well, first of all, the Defender is it's a custom-made war machine. It's like a doomsday prepper vehicle, but / it's bulletproof. It has multi-functions to do a bunch of different things, but And when you see it, it has a tank. It's built like a tank. It has a 50 cal rifle on the top, if you will, and it's well equipped for war. And we are at war. We're warring against this gun violence, and we standing up and looking like war, but we don't mean a physical war. This is a mental war.
Right. So now from that mental, psychological standpoint, as we try to connect with our brothers and sisters on the streets, okay, because we do have to give them opportunity. Everyone's not going to want to hear the message, right? But we got to try to turn around as many individuals as we can, right? So from that standpoint, with that being said, Philly Streets Talk. Obviously, that's also part of, what you're involved in, all right? And Philly Streets Talk does talk about music, because music, when we think about the airwaves, is a very powerful influence. Just the media in general is a powerful influence on individuals. That's once again why companies use celebrities to endorse products, because they know they can influence people. So Mo, with that being said, when we think about your Philly Streets Talks platform, how can we use this as far as maybe with some of the musical artists you're working with in a way that perhaps we can convey a message to try to start to turn around the narrative of what's being heard in the streets?
Well, you have to stay focused on creating positive opportunities and positive music. As everybody knows, there's not too much influence or money being put into positivity, but there's tons being poured into negativity. So we have to change the narrative and the way people thinking about it, because music is supposed to calm a savage beast. Music is supposed to be something you can enjoy and laugh and dance, and it's emotional attached. Well, it has lost that and became something more vicious, like an attack, instead of an attachment for peace and harmony and soul.
Wow. And Mo, when you think back in the history of hip hop, you and I were talking about Run DMC the other day, really really being on the forefront of this. And we can go back to African Bambaataa and other people, but just, thinking about Run DMC, fast forwarding to Public Enemy, and then of course the transition to NWA. And here we are now, with different artists out there, for whether it's Nicki Minaj, okay, Drake, okay. Of course, you still got the West Coast holding it down with Kendrick Lamar. But we've got it, and you've got this guy D1. We can't forget about him, and he's really putting out a positive message out there, but there's not enough D1s out there right now, conveying that. There's a time and place for everything. I'm a big proponent of hip hop. I like the music, but, it's just we're in a position right now. So Mo, as we get ready to close it out here, my last question to you right now is, where do you really feel you're going to be launching this project Meets the Needs? Because this is right now under the umbrella of Operation Save a Life. And what's your projected launch date, for this hygiene packs that will be distributed in the city?
Well, we should be coming up on our first launch right in the middle, between May and June. We haven't had a set date yet, but between middle of May and June, when school's starting to get situated to be let out and get ready for the summer.
Great. Mo, I appreciate you being on the show today. Once again, this is Key Community Leaders on the Progressive Access Zone podcast, sponsored by the Hispanic Community Counseling Service. And we've got my main man, Mo, who's going to be doing a lot of good things in the city of Kensington. We'll see you next time.
Peace out, y'all.